Welcome to Your Average Investor. What is going on with Disney's stock today? Down 10% on earnings. A little bit earlier today when they were at the lowest point, it was like 10.5, 11%. And now a lot of people are asking, is it time to sell Disney? Should I sell my Disney stock? Is the Mouse House collapsing? Well, today we're going to run through a little bit of the reasons why this drop on earnings happened, and we're going to look at Disney from a technical perspective as well as a little bit of a fundamental one to say, what's going on here? Should I buy? Should I sell? Should I just sit and hold? And that's a great question. So Disney, of course, has a ton of intellectual property around all sorts of different things. Star Wars, Marvel's, the Avengers, the classic Disney videos, things like that. So there's a lot to be said that they're not going anywhere, at least not quickly. They might slowly drop into oblivion or slowly rain. But, they're not going to just like bankrupt overnight. Let's look at this from a technical perspective. Here's Disney on the one-day chart for the last few years. This is the COVID dip back here, right? 2019, 2020, into 2020. Here's the COVID dip. So what's going on, right? We've got a floor that happened way back here, and if you look at recently, let me just bring this to be a little more exact, actually. So there we go. That we're right at the very bottom there, and when you look at this, that's basically where we had a more recent double bottom as well before this rally from about $79 a share up to $123 a share. So very interesting buy zone now if you're saying, hey, I think Disney's going to keep coming down. I think that 79, 80 bucks a share, that's definitely the accumulation zone where I would start buying a bunch of Disney. Maybe even a little higher up off of that, right? Like if you want to look at these, like if I put another line, let's go right here. Let's put another price line right here around $94 a share, and I'm just going to zoom in on this. So at around $94 a share, you had a little bit of consolidation before a big breakout, a little more consolidation before a mini breakout, busted below a little bit, but not for too long before another breakout, little consolidation, little breakout. And then for some painful months, it continued to drop, and everyone's like, oh, Disney's dying, Disney's going bankrupt. There's nothing you can do. Sell all your Disney. The doom and gloom that happens anytime a stock continues to move down for a very long period of time. Then we rallied from about $79 a share up to what was the peak? 122.8, 123, 120, almost 124 a share. And it's like, oh, look, Disney's coming back. And then they reported earnings and they dropped a full 10% all the way down to where they are now. So it's an interesting time. Do I buy? Is this the dip buy, right? Is this part of a continued uptrend? Well, if we're looking at this from, again, a technical perspective, let's just add some very basic resistance lines right here. Here we've got some resistance. We're very clearly at this 120-ish zone. And even if you look back over here, there's a little bit of fudging this around the 120 zone. So this seems to be maybe some short-term resistance, right? A little breakout, false breakout here. Didn't even quite get there here before moving down. Another little false breakout. Tried to poke back up, and then, right? Is this something where we're going to see another repeat of what happened back here, where right after this earnings call, big sell-off back down to the 95 zone, or possibly all the way back down to 78 zone, 79 zone? Or is this a good dip buy where we're saying, hey, no, there's actually a new floor possibly at right here. Let's add a little price line here, right? Let's say, okay, after this earnings call, they jumped, came back down, and then moved up to that, and that's around-ish where they are now. So maybe this is the dip buy because it's going to just bounce between 105 and 120, so that'd be a good 15% gain or so. I'm not convinced of that. I don't think that there's enough evidence that this is a good support zone. Like if you pull this back again, nothing really here. It did act as a little bit of resistance there, but then here just chopped through it on both sides. So not super convinced on that. Not to mention that today it didn't even bother staying there, just dropped all the way down underneath. So that's one way to look at this. You can also look at this from a sense of, is this making higher highs and higher lows or lower highs and lower lows? And again, that depends on your time frame. If I'm going to look at it from here, well, we've got a series. Here's a low, here's a high, here's a higher low, here's a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, lower low. So we had a nice uptrend here with higher highs and higher lows. and possibly this is going to be breaking that. Well, it did break the uptrend, right? So what started happening, or what stopped happening, was this pattern of a higher high and a higher low. And when you see both a lower high and a lower low, that can be very indicative of a reversal in trend. So, maybe there was a, let's just do a little price line here, right? So maybe there's like this channel that Disney was trading within right here. Let's see. So this would have been like the upward channel, right? So it's bouncing up and down within this channel, and maybe I made the channel a little too narrow, but that's fine. It illustrates its point. And then we broke out of the channel here, tried to move back into it, and then made a lower high and a lower low. So I would stay away. Would I short Disney right now? Would I sell Disney if I had my shares? If I'm a long-term Disney holder, I mean, what happened is they actually reported pretty decent earnings. Their earnings beat the analyst estimates, and they beat their own estimates on their D2C business. They were, with their direct-to-customer business, they were estimating a $100 million loss, and I think they actually made a $47 million profit just on the D2C stuff. So that was a surprise. However, they did issue soft guidance moving forward, and I think that's what scared people is whenever companies issue soft guidance, it's because maybe they know something, but they're not quite going to be forward about it with investors yet. So they're just going to say, hey, we think that business is slowing down, or possibly they're trying to play savvy and cool investor expectations, just so that on the next earnings call they can blow them out of the water or something again and have it pop back up. So if it were me, what I would probably do, and I'm not a big fan of Disney stock long term. Like, I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think they're going to be a failed company or anything like that. But because they haven't solidly reinstated their dividend, I don't see a reason to invest. Like, if you're going to invest in a slower growing company, like, go get Home Depot or something like that. If you want something like if you want like invest in something like Microsoft or Apple, like they pay a small dividend still, but as a tech company they're going to grow a lot faster than Disney. Like they're an entertainment giant and literally a giant in the industry, but there's not a whole lot of exciting growth opportunity there, right? Like, what are they going to do next? They bought the Marvel franchise, they bought the Star Wars franchise. They'll buy, I don't know, maybe the Stranger Things franchise, or maybe they already own that. I thought Netflix owned that, though. I think Netflix does own that. So, what do you do? Is it just like Disney versus Netflix, right? So if you look at Netflix, look at that. Here's Netflix's chart. $700 down to $160, back up now to $600, and they're kind of bouncing around. So people are thinking, hey, maybe Netflix is the way to go. Maybe they're gonna displace Disney as the entertainment giant, because I could see Netflix opening like a theme park at some point if they decided to. They obviously offer merch for all of their shows that they own. So again, I don't like it with that. There's no dividend. It doesn't look like there's like a solid long-term growth, that I couldn't get better growth elsewhere. Even just throw your cash in the S&P 500. I think Disney's a small part of the S&P 500. And then at least you're getting a quarterly dividend of like 1.5%. Probably what I would do if I wanted to trade this, if I wanted to day trade this, I don't like selling shorts. I probably wouldn't short sell here. And I don't usually like buying put options, so I probably wouldn't do that either. And this I don't think would be a good place to do it anyway, because you're just you're banking on another big drop after this. So what I would probably do is wait to see where it starts basing. So right, like there's a lot of these times where it just bases for a couple weeks or a couple months, and creates some sort of zone to trade off of. So after I see a base, like maybe if I saw a base start forming here around the 90 to 95 zone again, then I'd start buying there with thinking that it'd go back up to 100, maybe 110. If it came down to this 80 zone again, I'd for sure be buying for a trade. Like, that to me seems like a no-brainer. Like, if you go back, right, that's your COVID low, that's the low here. Like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. In fact, let's look at an even longer-term chart. Yeah, this low, like, you haven't, besides COVID and then this recent dip, you haven't seen that on Disney since 2014, 2015. Again, this is hard to compare, because at this point you're at least getting a dividend, and Disney's no longer paying a dividend right now, which is one reason I think that they might be struggling to capture investor attention is because people like those dividends. So, even without that, at like $80 a share, that seems to be a good place to look at purchasing. They've got some sort of support there. Now, if $80 a share broke, I'd probably have a quick stop loss there. If that breaks, I mean, as far as like a technical perspective, where's the next level that they're going to stop at? Who knows? There's this huge area between $80 here and $40 here that, for the most part, they just kind of went up, 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 up. So, is $40 the landing zone? Who knows? But that's my opinion on Disney right now. I wouldn't trade it. I'd wait to see it base before doing anything. Even from like a day trading perspective, like right here, what are you going to do? Like buy shares and then hope it moves back up? Maybe it's like $107, $108 a share? Maybe, but maybe it just continues to melt down throughout the rest of the day, go back down to 104, 103, something like that. So I don't think it hasn't moved hard and fast in one direction. Like if I saw a crazy swing up, then I'd probably look to short, like literally just a short day trade to short it for 30 minutes to an hour. If I saw a crazy swing down, same thing, I'd like to play the opposite. But where it's at right now, where it's kind of just meandering along, I wouldn't bother at all. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It does a ton to help us out. And leave any comments you have in the comment section below. Really curious to know what you guys think about Disney right now. Are they going to get displaced entirely? That's actually kind of an interesting question. I mean, I don't think so because they have so much intellectual property. But if people don't like Disney and don't like, all the classic Disney princesses anymore, and they don't like Star Wars, and they don't like whatever else, Marvel, where else are you going to go? You're going to have to buy some new intellectual property. But if nobody's selling because the next big intellectual property owner is Netflix, who's one of your primary competitors, then where are you going to get some new intellectual property from? I guess they could buy some book series, right? They could like try to buy, I don't know if there's any like a Brandon Sanderson series. If they bought Brandon Sanderson's the rights to do the films for his stuff, that'd be interesting. Anyway, catch y'all next time. Have a wonderful day. Good luck in the markets.